of the 13th National Assembly laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 25th July 2024. And this motion is expected to be seconded by Lufubo Member of Parliament, Mr. Wesley Kolala.
All right, so that's the report which is expected to be considered on the floor of the House. And Chilobi Member of Parliament, Mr. Mulenga Pube, will ask the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development when the government will complete the construction of student hostels at Chilobi Island College of Nursing and Midwifery in Chilobi District. At the time, business was suspended for that 20 minutes health break. The House was considering question 404, which came from Mr. Chewelo Wansenshi, Member of Parliament, and at the time, business was suspended. The member was about to ask a follow-up question, so when business resumes, he will continue asking that question. We'll be able to share with you the details of what has been considered on the floor of the House at a general time. Keep watching Parliament Television.
Well, a quorum is yet to be constituted. It is a constitutional requirement that 1/3 of the House has to be present in order for the business of the House to continue. So in this case, the bells are still ringing to enable the members of Parliament to come back to the House.
Order.
We cross back.
Order, Honorable Member for Kasenengwa. When business was suspended, the House was considering question number 404 on the order paper asked by the Honorable Member for Luwasenshi, and the Honorable Member for Luwasenshi was about to ask a supplementary question. May the Honorable Member continue?
Mr. Speaker, thank you so much for permitting the people of Luwasenshi constituency to ask a follow-up question. Mr. Speaker, we do appreciate that there is a national initiative which is anchoring on the national development, especially in rural areas. Now, my question is, apparently, Zambia is going through difficulties in terms of electricity, which is has become a challenge in terms of production. Now, I would like to find out from the Minister acting for Commerce what interventions or what message are they sending to these companies, especially in rural areas, who have good intentions to support productivity in our rural areas. What is it that they should do? Because at the moment, one of the critical challenges the country is facing is electricity. And most of these companies rely on electricity for them to remain floating in terms of production. I submit.
The Acting Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industries.
Thank you for that question. I think the reality obviously is that we have a significant deficit in terms of power production. And the resolution to that process is not immediate. It'll probably take us a year before we stabilized. So the message to our people is that there is a schedule that is given in terms of power availability. So it is to align your production to match the schedule that's given for power availability. That's the only answer that we've got. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Kawata.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Minister, most of these companies that you have listed, they have either been registered in the urban setup, most of them have been actually registered in the urban setup. If you look at some of these companies, what they should have actually done is probably to come up with a date to find out whether your ministry is actually going to consider declaring areas like Rufanyama or Shangombo as economic free zone, a tax-free zone, so that we can encourage companies to go and invest in the rural areas and thereby reducing the poverty levels once they benefit from those companies that have gone to invest there.
The Acting Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, since the last 3 years, a number of economic zones have been created, including the last one that has been created in the Kafue area. And the principle basically is to encourage investment. And one of the key things for the creation of the economic zones is that they are investor-driven. The investor places an application to create an economic zone for the purpose of receiving the various incentives, including tax incentives. So what I would encourage my colleague from Kawata is that please continue with your effort to try and identify investors, and government to be ready to provide the necessary incentives even in the rural areas. I thank you.
The Honourable Member for Chilubi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Minister mentioned a lot of companies. Is government thinking of mainstreaming those companies into multi-facility zones so that we have coordinated trade and manufacturing which can add value to the products, the raw materials that you mentioned, like cassava and many other? Are you thinking of mainstreaming them into multi-facility zones which are available in the country?
The Acting Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry.
Indeed, Mr. Speaker, we have a number of economic zones, including the Lusaka South Economic Zone, where, for example, Zambia Breweries is using barley to produce beer, where, for example, there is one of the biggest companies that is producing cows for export in the region. Indeed, the answer is yes. We have one in Lusaka, we have one in Chambeshi, there's one that is going to be established in Kansashi, and there's potentially one to be established in Livingstone. I thank you.
The Honourable Member for Wengwa. The Honourable Member for Bangwewulu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honourable Minister, you have outlined a number of companies that has invested in various districts in this country. I just want to find out if there is any value addition in terms of job creation. How many jobs have created so far through the investment that you have alluded to? Thank you, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry.
Mr. Speaker, if you take an example of the cassava outgrowers that are delivering to Zambia Breweries, I indicated that there are over 1,000 that are growing cassava only in Wapula, and you can imagine how many more jobs those farmers have created. So the answer is that we are creating jobs through the main off-takers. I thank you.
The Honourable Member for Kawe Central.
Thank you so much, Mr. Acting Minister of Commerce and Trade, for your answers. And I'm excited just for you for mentioning Mulungushi Textiles. And I'm happy that at least the New Dawn government this time is serious about reopening Mulungushi Textiles. Now I want to find out, and you mentioned in your submission that also Central Province has a number of manufacturing companies. So in Kabwe, apart from Lungushi Textiles, at the moment we don't have any other, apart from those who are doing processing minerals. Now, I want to find out, are you in a position to engage, of course, your counterpart from means of defense? Because we have got a big land, about almost 100 hectares, that is just lying idle. That other investing companies that would want to engage in manufacturing can come and set up their manufacturing plant. Are you in a position to engage your fellow counterpart? Because land is a problem for any company that would want to come invest in Kabwe. Thank you.
Thank you. The Acting Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The suggestion to engage the Minister of Land, Minister of Defense regarding the availability of land in Kabwe, to use it as a platform to attract investment is welcome, and we are going to pursue it. I thank you.
The Honourable Member for Kaumbwe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honourable Minister, you've said we've got about 51 companies that have invested in various areas of our country. I just want to find out what is the total investment cost that these companies invested in our economy. Thank you.
The Acting Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry.
Mr. Speaker, is asking about the total investment. I do not have a grand total, but just to have a flavor, Zambia Breweries, $90 million, United Packaging, $5.2 million, Chilang Neocant, $14.5 million, 260 Brands, $46.7 million, MMI Steel, $56 million, Kafuem Steels, $70 million, and so on and so forth. So the list goes on and on. So those are huge numbers that are being invested. I thank you.
The Honourable Member for Chifuvu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Honourable Minister, for the spectacular record of 51 manufacturing companies that have come up in your ministry through the investments. Honourable Minister, would you share with the nation and of course this House what you are doing to protect our local people who want also to engage into manufacturing? Like we have seen the manufacturing sector seem to have been infested by foreigners, particularly in the block making industry, where most of our youths are supposed to venture. So we have seen most of the foreigners have infested this. What are you doing to protect also our local people to invest into the manufacturing sector, such as the block making industry? Thank you.
The Acting Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry.
Mr. Speaker, one of the ways to protect our people is basically in the reverse, providing opportunity particularly to access of funds. So we have a number of opportunities, including the Citizens Economic Empowerment, which is on it guarantee scheme exclusively for Zambians, the market booster loans exclusively for Zambians, and indeed many opportunities for funding which are given to Zambians, including tax incentives that are given to Zambians. So my way to those that want to venture is that capital is available, tax incentives are available. What we need is viable business plan, the desire, purpose and courage to undertake investment. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Namola.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Speaker. Through to the Minister. Minister, looking at the issue of Mulungushi, which has been thorny for quite some years now, do you see this thing taking off before the end of this year or next year as submitted?
The Acting Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry.
Mr. Speaker, I do agree that Mulungushi textile has been a matter of contention over a number of years. Just to assure the Honourable Member of Parliament from Namala that this time practical and active making, and I don't want to steal the thunder from the substantive Minister of Commerce who is going to make a statement regarding the same. I thank you.
Next question, the Honourable Member for Chilubi.
405, Mr. Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Fube, the Honourable Member of Parliament for Chilubi, is asking the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development at A, when government will complete the construction of the student hostels at Chilubi Island College of Nursing and midwifery in Chilubi District. At B, he wishes to know, Mr. Speaker, why the project has stalled, and at C, he wishes to know what the cost of the outstanding works was as of the month December 2023. Our response. The construction of the student hostels at the Chilubi Island Nursing and Midwifery in Chilubi District will be completed when a new contractor is procured. At B, the project has stalled as it encountered a lot of delays due to the contractor's poor performance and subsequent abandonment of the site and works. At C, the cost of outstanding works as of December 2023 will only be determined upon the preparations of the final account, which has since begun. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
The Honourable Member for Chilubi.
The Minister, answering the question, has said that many of the things that have not gone right for the construction of hostels are to do with the contractor. Is the Minister aware that the contractor abandoned the works when he was demanding for money to finish the remaining works, and he was harassed, and he was even the contractor was even locked up, and there were issues like they were overpriced and so forth? Is the Minister aware of such? Because the contractor, as far as I'm concerned as a Member of Parliament, did not just abandon those works as a result of negligence or anything, but as a result of harassment.
The Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Mr. Speaker, the Minister is clearly unaware about the disclosure that the Honourable Member of Parliament for Chilubi has shared with this House. And because the Minister is unaware, I will give a little bit of supplementary information that this, and it's all related to the work culture of the contractor, which is now at variance with what the honourable colleague is sharing, which is that the contractor was arrested when he was pushing for his payment, which is totally unfortunate and very hard to believe as a matter of fact, because what's due to Caesar must be given to Caesar. And so if the contractor presented his interim payment certificate and in return of his demand to get what is due to him, he was arrested, certainly he should have gone to the police to report that harassment, which the Honorable Member of Parliament seems to be aware about and the Minister is not. Because that's a normal thing to do. There is also another channel, and I've never heard it anywhere in the world, where somebody who's seeking recourse, who's seeking redress of their situation, gets locked up instead. So it is a little bit anomalous, and I can invite the Honorable Member of Parliament to share more information about who arrested this and what offense this person may have been charged with. The only thing that we know that I wish to share with the August House here is that the Republic of Zambia engaged Mumash contractors, I hope that's the name, to build these student hostels at a cost of 6.3 million kwacha in 2019. The second point that I want to share, which is contrary to what the Honorable Member is alleging, is that the contractor failed to complete the work due to non-performance and later abandoned. There's a situation of abandonment of the project in January 2021. So contrary to the report that the colleague has, what I have here is that the contractor physically left the site. That spells abandonment, and along the way, the contract expired. Mr. Speaker, at the time of the expiry of the contract, the project was at 60% towards completion, and the contractor has since been paid a total of 5,300,000, 1 million short of the total contract sum. I will say this again. The contract project was, as at the last time we checked, at 60%. And this contractor, the contractor that was assigned, Mumash, had been paid 5.3, 1 million short of the total contract price, even if he still had 40% to finish. Now, the process of procuring another contractor is going to commence as soon as funds are available, because the primary aim here, honorable colleague and friend, is to serve the people of Chibulubi more than the controversy that may sit between the contractor and those who he claims have been arresting him for claiming his money, which is totally anomalous. And maybe to put a lead on the matter is to say that the contractor must maybe come and share his experience at the Ministry of Infrastructure so that we can balance up this whole story. Otherwise, it doesn't paint a good picture that anybody who's claiming money in a legitimate way must be subjected to police harassment. I thank you.
The Honourable Member for Chipiri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honourable Minister, this contractor has been paid such kind of money and is only at 60%. We can't accept that, because he was supposed to do more than 60%. But he's still claiming to say no, he was arrested and what? What measure, as a government, are you going to take to such contractors after they have been paid but they cannot perform? How do you recover the money? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you very, very much, Honourable Member of Parliament for Chilubi. Mr. Speaker, this is the reason why in my submission I overemphasized the payment percentage against the performance percentage. I said it twice. And because I am not a speculator, probably this is the reason why the chickens came home to roost. regarding the story that is coming from my colleague, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Chilubi, about the police involvement and all those things, but I couldn't confirm. But in order to satisfy you, Honorable Member, I will endeavor to get the detail which may have the connection or the nexus to why there is police involvement. Because clearly, the payment was paid full amount and only there's a matter of abandonment here. And anyone who abandons work after being paid so much money, Mr. Speaker, has a case to answer. So I have no straightforward answer to give you, honorable colleague and friend, but I can only assure you that I am also now very interested to find out why, in a matter of a civil nature of a contract, can now it attract police to arrest a contractor. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Chilubi.
Currently, Chilubi School of Nursing doesn't have its own infrastructure that it can count on, and I think they are using the hospital as part of the administration, and they are also using the resource centers for lectures. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the Minister. He did indicate that from the foregoing, the contract expired and they are yet to engage